Hello, my name is Reginald Bass, and I'm going to answer the four questions for Module 4, Chapter 5, and Chapter 6. All right, so I'm going to start with the first question. Tips with dealing with change. Um, my first tip when looking at the chart would be realizing you cannot control all the elements in life. I think that's just um, a universal rule. When you understand that you cannot control everything, I feel like it gives you more liberty to accept and deal with whatever situations that are at hand. We know that in life in general that we can't control everything, and we know that as teachers or educators, we definitely can't control everything. We can't control everything that happened in our classroom. We can't control our admin. We can't control the people in the district realm. So I feel like once you understand that you can't control it, I feel like that's the first step of understanding and dealing with the change. The next one would be do not forget your value system during the change process. Um, Understanding and your value system, the core of who you are, makes you. It makes you who you are. So keeping that core value, um, keeping the reason why you chose to be an educator, um, choosing and understanding and really sitting in who you are as a person, I feel like that helps with change, because change is going to happen regardless. If you've been an educator for a year or 20 years, change, that's just a part of life. So just being able to sit in who you are, understanding who you are, and letting change not uh, pull apart your core, your core values. The next one would be realizing that others can help and you're not alone. Now, that is a big one for me because I'm an introvert. So I kind of stay inside of me and kind of deal with me, stay in my classroom and figure it out myself. But I have learned throughout the years, this is my 12th year, that, um, others breaking down the wall of my insecurities and letting others in, other teachers who I trust, who who I who are my mentors, even the admin, um, having them come in and talking with them and using them as a resource, or using them as just a solid place to land. I've I've learned and experienced that that is a good thing to do for me mentally, um, and also just that collaboration help builds community. You know, so just realizing that I'm not alone. I may feel that way, but I feel like it's never that way. It's just what we perceive in our heads, because everyone needs help. Even the teacher that's been teaching for 20 years. With change, you're going to need some help. So just realizing that you're not alone and that you have this. Um, and I don't know, I have so many experiences, even dealing with um, being a teacher, because I feel like I've been a new teacher in several aspects. I used to do elementary music, and then I moved to middle school music, band and chorus. And then I moved into the classroom as a core teacher. So I feel like each one of those, I became a new teacher all over again. Now, currently, over the last about 5 years, I've been teaching math and science. So it's a lot of things that I don't know. And with that being said, I had to lean on some teachers because I felt like I was all alone. But there were teachers all around trying to help and give me rules and telling me that, hey, you got this, just take it slow. Rome wasn't built in a day. Um, and with that, just my core system of loving kids. My goal is to educate kids, to make sure that they're better than me, in every aspect. And also realizing that I can't control everything. Sometimes you just got to go with the flow. You plan, you study, you research, you plan, and then at the end of the day, I say it like this: you have to go with the flow, and let the Lord kind of lead you where you just lead you, because you've done your part. So that's question one. Question two: share a success story with a new teacher and what strategies I used. Um, Um, I would say teaching. Teaching is the easiest part. I think dealing with everything else, parents, admin, lesson plans, all of that stuff is kind of what makes um, a teacher job more intense. Not difficult, but just more intense. Um, I would say strategy. Um, Understanding your kids, observing your kids, asking your kids questions, observing your kids. I think that's very important when you are teaching your students. Um, One example was I had one student, he was all over the place, literally, in his thinking, just kind of couldn't get it together. I mean, I just observed him for a couple of weeks, just trying to understand how can I help this child focus. Um, and there was a math strategy that the child couldn't really get. So I just wrote the math strategy down for him to see if that would make a difference. And I use it as like a checklist. Um, and it really helped that child. That checklist, he could check it off. And I actually laminated the the checklist so he could use a dry erase marker, mark it off, keep it moving, and then erase it and do it all over again. And I found that it was so helpful for him. He stayed focused, he could concentrate, he wasn't all over the place. And I was like, that's a good strategy using the checklist. Um, the parent wanted to meet with me for a parent teacher conference just to see how the child was doing. Talk with the parent, and I told them, for the most part, from the first 9 weeks to the second 9 weeks, your child has been doing a really good job. Um, and I create a checklist for them so they can stay focused and so they can go through each step, not miss a step. And the parent was kind of surprised. And I said, well, she said, because he is all over the place at the house. He starts one chore and then run to the other chore and don't complete anything. And I said, well, Mom, maybe you need to do a checklist. Do a checklist. What he needs to complete in the morning, what he completes when he get home, before he go to bed, and that probably that's gonna give him structure, and that's gonna help him know, oh, I need to focus on these things. And I said, Mom, make sure you laminate it and give him a dry eraser marker and let him check it off each time. And within just the next week and a half, she called me and said that that was life changing. So kids love structure, they fight against it, but at the end of the day, I feel like all human beings like some type of organization, some type of structure, and kids need structure, period. All right, that's the second question. Third question, my experience with direct leadership, pros and cons. Okay, so direct leadership. So I would say when I taught middle school, no, when I taught elementary school, I had this one principal. I had two principals. One was so they was merging no, they wasn't merging the schools, but they were getting ready to close the school that I was at. So they had one principal, and then they had another principal. I'm not sure what you would call it, but she was district level, and she had like several schools under her. So she would come in and help the new principal. And her demeanor, her leadership style, it first started off as facilitating leadership, and then it quickly turned into a direct leadership role. And it was direct. It was my way or the highway. It was here are our goals, here's our expectations, this is what we need to do to get there. And if you're not on board, you're gone. I thought that was very direct, very kind of, I don't think it was heartless, but I was thinking it was straight to the point. For me, I like for you to get straight to the point, let me know what I need to do. So that direct leadership, it had a lot of control in it, but it was structure for me, And for some of the teachers, they fought against structure, especially if they were like a creative style teacher. She let them know that, hey, this is what it is. And if you can't get this, I'm gonna write you up. And a lot of teachers, for the most part, they kind of got with the program, but other teachers, they bucked against the system every time. So the pros for that, the pros is structure, highly structured. Control could be a good or bad thing, just depending on how you use it. And for that situation, I feel like it was both. I feel like control was good because some of the teachers, they were doing kind of what they want to do. They was flying, I guess, by the seat of their pants, as they call it. And it kind of helped them. It took the thinking out of it for them. And some of the teachers really needed that because they were all over the place. And accountability. It shifted the accountability on them. So I feel like that was the pros and the cons of that. And it gave clarity. It gave clarity for all. She didn't leave any stone, like any questions kind of up in the air. Nope, she answered all the questions. And once again, strong accountability. Now the cons were the teachers felt like she was controlling everything. Some teachers felt that way. Others felt like, oh, at least we know her expectations. Another con is there really wasn't too much collaboration. It was, hey, this is what I require of you. Now I can talk with you to help you meet that goal, but this is my expectations, period. So there was very low collaboration. And also the teachers, the coaches, everyone depended directly on the leader because it was the leader who made the choices. So they really depended on the leader probably too much. The fourth question, facilitating Leadership, pros and cons. Um, Facilitating. I feel like most of my principles were facilitating leadership, more collaborative, more conversational type of feel. Um, Encourage discussion, build trust. I feel like most of my principles over the span of 12 years were kind of rule in that type of leadership. Um, so where I am now, my principal is Principal Harvey, older guy, been in the educational field for over 25 years, and he has a very facilitating leadership style. He's more conversational. He want to know what you're thinking. He want to know how did you arrive to your teaching style, what works best for your kids. Like he's very hands-on when it comes to his staff, his faculty and staff. Um, he's more like a father figure. Um, for just everyone. You know, he's concerned. He wants to know. He's concerned. I've had some principals who just wasn't concerned at all. They just didn't care. You know, they just want the job done and let's keep it moving. We could share ideas. We problem solve together. So those are like the pros. The cons would be sometimes in that facilitating leadership style, some people feel like they can just kind of do what they want to do and kind of run over you, just because it's not direct, if that makes sense. Um, um, Sometimes there could be a lack of clear direction when you're facilitating because you're throwing out so many ideas and you're collaborating. I feel like your ideas can kind of go everywhere if they're not focused. If you're not writing them down and focusing on um, keeping the focus at hand, um, it requires being able to communicate. All principals, all people in leadership don't have communication skills. So that could be a con when you don't have the communication skill and you're trying to, or you're in that facilitating leadership style. Um, so share a story. So like I said, my principal, he leads in data meetings. So in data meetings, it's a more facilitating style. We talk about data. It's like a more conversational thing. Um, we're talking about the goals we met, what we didn't meet, what we need to do over, and it's just a conversation. We're able to leave with ideas. We're able to leave with clear ideas as a group what we need to do for our students to make sure that we achieve student achievement. So my examples of that is just data meeting. He's in all of our meetings. He's in our data meetings. He's in our math, science, writing. He's in all of our planning meetings. And once again, he let the coaches do their job, but sometimes he interjects. And for the most part, it's just more of a collaboration, a great collaboration type of environment. Um, and it builds community. It helps with our creativity. Um, it's good. So disadvantages. I think I've talked about disadvantages. Um, Sometimes it can lack direction. I think I talked about that. It requires communication skills. So I think for me, between direct and facilitating, I think a little bit of both is good. I feel like knowing an admin or a leader, knowing who they're leading, uh, that lets you know what style you need to do. Because dealing with people, sometimes you need to be direct. You need to set clear foundations, clear ideas, a clear agenda to let them know that this is what we're trying to accomplish. This is the goal. And if you can't get with the program, maybe this is not the job for you. I understand that. I'm okay with that. Um, and then I feel like once you get that understanding, you can kind of switch over to facilitating, having conversations about the main goal, the agenda, of the group. So I feel like both of them are good, just depending on the situation, you know. So with that being said, hopefully I answer all the questions. Thank you so much.